Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So we're out here in the tent today getting ready to work on a Poulan Predator chainsaw I recently got. We're going to be starting, well, continuing that new carver series. I was using the steel MS-170 and, well, we've also got this Craftsman. But I'm going to try and finish that series with these saws. These are typical saws that homeowners own. This is an older one. These are things that I think you guys are able to get at like Walmart and Ace and Home Depot and Lowe's, like those sort of chainsaws. A lot of people are like, well, I can't buy a steel chainsaw. This is, I can't do this sort of stuff. Well, we're going to see if we can get these saws running and in top shape, and we're going to carve with them if we can do so. Now, first thing we got to do though is take them apart, clean them up, and I've already bought new carburetors, new filters, new gas lines, and all that kind of stuff. So the first part of this series using these homeowner saws is going to be getting them ready for carving. In this case, the primer bulb shot on here. That filter should not be that color. Yeah, these are just some saws I got from some people I knew, but these are very common saws on like Facebook Marketplace. You guys can pick this sort of stuff up anywhere from 25 to 100 bucks. You might have to work on it. It might run right out of the gate. Who really knows? But if you got this saw and you're having some issues with it, we're going to go ahead and just replace the carb. I'm not even going to go through cleaning what's there. We're going to just replace it. We're going to work on putting a new primer bulb on, new gas lines, new filters, new spark plug. We're even going to go through, make sure the spark arrestor's clear in the exhaust, and basically get this thing all ready to carve. That'll be one video. So this video is putting a new carb and all this wonderful stuff on the Poulan Predator. The next video will be pretty much doing the same thing with the Craftsman. Now, I did create a video cleaning the carb on the Craftsman, and honestly, it was a fail. I think it just needs to be replaced. So we've already got a carb kit from Amazon for that, and the next video is going to be replacing the carb on that, and hopefully we'll get them running well, and we'll get into doing some chainsaw carving. So yeah, hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, stick around. We're going to be working on this saw today. Okay, so as you can see, we got two camera angles going here. Hopefully this will really help everybody out. First thing you're going to want to do, if you don't want to mess with cleaning that carburetor, is order up a carburetor. I'll have a link down below through Amazon to the one that I've ordered. We're going to see together how well it works once we're all done with the job. When you order up this kit, you look for the MCKIN carburetor air filter. It comes with everything you need, okay? It's the McKin, MCKIN. That's the one that I've purchased. Might not be the best, I'm not sure. I mean, you pay about $15, $16. You get a carburetor, you get an air filter, get some gas lines, new primer bulb, spark plug, new gas filter and oil filter, and you get some seals for taking everything off and putting it back together. So you get a lot of stuff in this kit for less than 20 bucks. I think I paid $15, $16. Now, I haven't done this one before. I'm just working on it like I normally do with my steel chainsaws. And I went ahead and grabbed my 5/16 ratchet. And what's this one? And my 10mm, just in case we need it. We've got a mini flathead and a little adjuster for your carburetor and all that. I've also got my T-wrench, but I don't even know if it's going to fit this yet. So as we get into this, the first thing you're going to want to do is there's 3 screws on the top of the Predator. You want to undo those, removing the cover. As you can see, this filter could be a huge problem as to why this saw might not be running well. I'm going to throw that aside. But a big one for starting is the fact that this primer bulb just has a huge hole in it. It's destroyed. I already knew this saw was going to be some work. What I'm going to do at this point is probably just a voiceover for the rest of the video and just work through it methodically, take it apart, put it back together, and get the job done. All right, guys, we're going to take our 5/16 socket, get in there and remove these 2 nuts so we can remove that air cleaner box. Once the nuts are removed, that pops right off fairly easy. A little wiggle and just remove it. Alright, I'm going to take that little flathead, get in around the gas line that's up at the top of the carb, right hand side, kind of pop that off. Now I got to go in and remove the choke linkage, this blue piece of plastic. Having a needle nose pair of pliers makes it easy. You got to pinch the end of it. Then you can use a screwdriver, or honestly using your thumb and your pointer finger and your thumb and like kind of pressing it to the side works way better than monkeying around with this screwdriver to do it. As long as the end is compressed with the pliers, it really does pop out pretty easy. So get that out, pull it forward so it's out of the way, or pop it straight up out and it's out of the way. I'm going to remove this black little, it's kind of like tough rubber or plastic piece that's next to the carb. I don't ever use them, so I'm going to end up just removing that in a few minutes. First, let's take our T-wrench and remove the case. Sorry, no technical terms. I'm not trying to say I'm, some mechanic, just a guy that's working on my stuff. There's always naysayers, guys that know way more, and that's okay. So on this model, there's like 4 screws, just using the T-wrench and remove them. Once the screws are out, cover should just pop right off. Clean it up if you need to. This gives us access to that primer bulb and those gas lines. Next thing I want to do is start kind of wiggling that carburetor, pulling it forward. Kind of get it off the bolts that are in there, or the studs that hold it in place. Might have to look it over. Sometimes the other gas line hangs it up, which this one I think is doing. Between that and the throttle linkage, I mean, you gotta have some patience if you're gonna do this job to begin with. So that line right there was attached to the primer bulb and it popped off. No big deal, we're gonna replace it. And there's the carb. So that gas line was kind of holding it to the primer bulb and it wouldn't slide off easy. There's our throttle linkage. Remember what way that goes on. Later in the video, I get it backwards and I end up bending it, and it ended up taking me forever to get it back to the correct and proper bends to make it fit right. So there's 2 screws holding that primer bulb in. Just go ahead and remove those. Once you get them out, the primer bulb is free. You see just some gas lines still holding it on there, but there's a slot in the saw. You can slide that up and out. Now looking at it, remember what line goes where. There is a longer nipple on the back of the primer bulb. There's 2 of them. One's longer than the other. So the gas line farthest away from the primer bulb goes on the longer one, so remember that. In doing all this, make sure you don't get stuff in that port where I just had my finger over. Get it in there, you're gonna mess the saw up. So keep it clean and, try not to knock dust or anything into that spot. Next thing I'm gonna start doing is working on replacing these gas lines. They're pretty stiff, they feel brittle, so replace them with the lines that they gave me. Kind of looking at the lines to match them up. They gave me a smaller line and a little bit bigger line. The bigger line ends up fitting the filters and all the little, carburetor stuff, so that little line is kind of useless. The bigger line is what we'll have to use. Now, got to remove that gas cap. Make sure your gas tank is empty. Probably should do that in the very beginning. Just kind of looking it over to see if I can see where my filter is and my line is in there, because we're gonna have to pull that filter out and pull the line back through. So trying to just fish that line with filter up out of the hole. Instead of using your fat finger, grab a piece of wire, put a hook on it, grab that gas line, and fish it up out of the hole. Sometimes the filter gives it a little trouble, but it's not bad. You should be able to accomplish this easily. Pull your filter off. That's our filter. We're going to get rid of it because it comes with 2 new ones. I think earlier I said an oil and gas. They're both gas filters. Alright, so I'm going to get a firm grip on that gas line the filter was on, and I'm just going to pull it nice and steadily up and out of the saw. Once you get to this point, putting the new filter, the new gas line in is a huge pain after this. Just an FYI. So like, watch the whole video through. Make sure you even want to get into doing this. It gets frustrating. So just making sure my gas filter fits the line, which is a good thing to do in the beginning, not as you're in the middle of the project, but hey, you know, I'm not a mechanic, I'm just a dude working on my saw. Anyway, the bigger line fits the filters that come with it, and they fit all the parts of the carburetor on this saw, so the big line is what we'll be using, like I said earlier. Now looking at the hole that the last gas line came out of, the new line doesn't just fit, but I will have a little fix for that, and we'll see how it works. Now that little piece I just showed you comes off the second line. I believe that's a return. It's in the far back corner inside the tank. Just reach in with the pliers, grab it, pop it off, pull it out. Then you got to flip the saw over and pull the line out from the top like this. Once the line is out, end up just matching it up to the new line, and what we'll do is cut new line to the same length. Well, I say same length, it's actually a good idea. I cut it a little bit longer, about 1 inch longer, so that I can trim it into kind of a wedge shape so I can get it to fit back into the hole. Alright, so we're using the snips to kind of trim it to look like a wedge. We're cutting up the side of the gas line a little. You guys see there? This isn't going to be enough. I end up having to trim this way more, so that's why I'm glad I cut the line long, because nothing goes back as easy as it was in there. I'm not sure how they get these oversized lines in these little tiny spots. I'm sure there's a saw guy that's got a great explanation for it, but I don't have one. So I waste about 1 inch of the line, trim it down nice and narrow to make it fit, and then reach in with a pair of pliers and pull it through. Alright, so pull the gas line through. You can see it here in the pliers. Take my snips, cut it off to a nice flush end, and then that little plastic piece that we had pulled off, we're just going to pop in there and let the line go back inside the tank. Alright, now we're going to move on to that second line. This is on the left side of the saw for the carburetor, and this is the one that has the hole that's quite a bit smaller. So we're actually going to trim the line like almost right up the middle, so it's long and narrow. Hopefully we can get it in the hole. Well, seeing as how I'm doing a voiceover, I can tell you it doesn't work. Can't get it. I trimmed this. I didn't cut this to length. I just left this as long as I could, and I think I end up using almost 2 inches of line that I keep cutting and ripping, because a little bit will go through. I try to pull it through with pliers. It just rips and breaks. Huge pain in the butt. Huge pain in the butt. So I decided to get out my drill with a bit that's smaller than the line but a little bigger than the current hole to kind of match the hole on the other side, because again, this one's a little smaller, and I drill it out. So after 10 minutes of monkeying around, grab my drill bit, my drill. You can see it's a little bit smaller than the hose. And yeah, said to hell with it. I'm drilling this out. We'll see what happens. Now, if you don't want to drill that out, that's fine. Don't. There's no guarantees here, guys. I'm not a professional mechanic. So if you want to take that risk, follow me. If you're not willing to take that risk, then don't. Because I can't guarantee this is going to make this better or worse for us. At the end of the video, though, the saw runs strong. When it comes to carving, in the video where I carve with this saw, well, we'll find some issues. So, yeah, watch both videos. Anyway, the hole still is not the exact size you don't want it to be, because you want that line to be in there snug so it creates a seal so gas is not leaking out around the hose that runs through. Again, don't drill that hole too big if you decide to go that route. If not, have fun messing around with that line. I know you can do it. I just didn't have the patience to monkey with it. Maybe you will. Now, we've gone through, cut the line right up the middle, so I had about 1 inch to grab onto. We've monkeyed with getting it in there, And then once we get enough through, we grab it with the pliers like we did in the back and pull the line down. This is tedious. I spent probably a good half hour total on this one line. Again, huge pain in the butt. All right, guys, right here in the video, I have made a big mistake, which I did not realize until editing this video and the carving video, because I have issues with the saw. The line currently connected to the primer bulb is wrong. I cut it short and it should have been left long. Remember what I said, that long nipple should go to the hose all the way in the corner there to the right. Didn't do that. I forgot. Goofed up. Another reason why I make this video so I can come back and look at it. This setup right now, what you're looking at, 100% wrong. That one in the corner to the right should be attached where that short line is. And that short line needs to run under the carb and come up on the right side of the carb, and it will plug into the carb. So keep it long. I now have to pull that line out again, put a new one in, and put it back on because it's way too short to fit the carburetor as it should. Now I'm doing a voiceover because I'm super confident, in this video that I did it right. Now, in my own defense, 1, not a professional mechanic. 2, I did this over 2 days, and so I forgot that line I'm touching right now is supposed to go to the carburetor and not the primer bulb. Okay, guys? Now the line coming off the carburetor that you see here does go on that short nipple, and the line in the corner in the right again goes on the long nipple, and the line currently connected should go on the top right side of the carburetor. Okay? Again, just clarifying it. So here we are looking at this piece I'm holding. Got these little breather things. Match them up with the little breather things on the saw when you put that on. That should have came off with the old carburetor. Save it and clean it. Put it back on. And then you'll have a little seal that came new in the kit. Put that on over top of it next. Match the upper hole with the upper hole. Oh, frustrated about the gas line thing, and it took me until now editing to realize, crud, that's what's wrong. Because honestly, the saw fires right up in the video at the end, no issues. But then I do make a tutorial on carving a bear with it, and the saw does not run well. So we will be fixing that and attempting to carve with it again, seeing if that whole gas line debacle is the reason why it doesn't work. And I could probably almost guess that's it. So there'll be 2 videos carving with this saw. 2, at least. Alright guys, so we got the short line on the bottom side of the carb. Here I'm moving that hose out of the way, and that's where I goof up. It does not go up there. The hose I moved out of the way should run underneath the carb and over to the longer nipple on the primer bulb. Again, my mistake. I'm leaving my mistake in here so you can see it and so I can keep repeating my mistake. The line currently connect to that primer bulb should run under the carb and come up on the right side. The line on the right side should run under the carb and connect to the longer nipple on the primer bulb. Currently, I'm doing it wrong, and I will have to go back and fix it, and that's why my saw is running like crap. So, tilt your carburetor, get your linkage, your throttle linkage up in that spot I just showed you if you were watching. Take your time, try not to bend it, line everything up, and it should slide back into place. Now you can push it back, hold it with your 2 fingers, hit your throttle, make sure it all works, and then pull your 2 studs forward. For some reason these studs have quite a bit of play in them, maybe to help get the carburetor on and off easier. My steel chainsaws don't seem to have that much play in the studs. So right here we're hooking up that short line from the carb to the short line on the primer bulb. That's correct. But again, that other line is wrong. The line I have in my hand right here should run under the carb and connect to the primer bulb, not where I just put it. This is wrong. I did this wrong. So, right, guys, again, recap. This line right here that I'm pointing should run underneath the carburetor and plug into the longer nipple on the primer bulb. All right? And the line coming out of the gas tank that's plugged into the longer nipple right now that I goofed up should run back the other way under the carburetor and come up and plug in where I'm plugging this one in. Hopefully this makes sense. I know I'm repeating myself, but I goofed up and I left this portion in here because everyone else may see how easily this can be goofed up if you're not paying attention. This is why we want to keep the two lines coming out of the gas tank long. Don't cut them right away. Keep them long. So again, this line right here that I plugged in, wrong. Run it under the carb to the left, plug it into the long nipple of the primer bulb. The line that comes up out of the gas tank with your filter on, it's on the left side. Keep it long, run it under the carburetor to the right, and run it up and plug it in where this line currently is, at the top. Hopefully this is better explained. Hopefully you guys understand. If not, I'll just shoot another video and we'll do it. But I wanted to leave this in here to show my mistake, so hopefully you won't make it and have to replace that line for the second time. All right, guys, moving on. Grab that choke lever. You might see two spots where there's two different holes. Try to pop it into the hole closest to the throttle, closest to the choke lever, okay? Not the one closest to the motor. Use a screwdriver, pry it just a little, hold your carb, and kind of just pop it in. It's kind of just getting it at the right angle, and it pops right in for you. Boom, done. All right. Now you got to grab that other seal that came in the kit. This one has no hole on the top and bottom. See? The seal? No hole on top and bottom like the other one. Because there's two different ones, so keep an eye on that. Try to line up the lines on the side for the angles. Pop that on. And then go ahead and grab the box that holds your air filter and slip that on over the studs. You might have to, work it a little bit, finagle it to get in there and seat in place. The studs slide back, so grab a pair of pliers that have some teeth. Not these ones, because these have no teeth, so it's giving me some struggle. But grab a hold of your studs and just pull them forward. This way, you're able to bolt to something. Once you pull those through, grab the two 5/16 nuts that you pulled off earlier and your 5/16 socket. I kind of just tighten them on by hand. It's a little better than using the wrench. And then grab the wrench just to snug them up. Now grab your two screws that held the primer bulb on and put the primer bulb back on. Now there was a black piece on the left of the carburetor. It kind of would help keep the dust and stuff out. I can never get these things to fit back in there, so I'm not putting it back on, but you can. It's the piece that gives you access to your adjustments for the carburetor. You can put it on, leave it off, whatever. You leave it off, you're going to get sawdust in there, not necessarily in the carb, but in that space around the carb. So, if you want to put it in so it's original and stock looking, then go for it. If you don't want to monkey with it like me, leave it off. Put these two screws in, and we're good with the primer bulb. Next, grab the 4 screws and the cover that's got your pull cord and everything in it. There's way more technical terms that I can't think of right now because it's one of those days. Flip it on its side, put those 4 screws in, tighten everything up. After that, grab your new air filter, put that in the box. It doesn't have to be like pushed in all, crazy down and just put it in there. At that time, which I did not show here, go ahead, pull out the old spark plug using your T-wrench, put your new spark plug in. In this case, I've already done it, but for some reason I didn't video that part. Now we're going ahead, putting the cover on, tighten down those 3 screws, and we should be ready for some gas. Okay guys, so at this time you'd want to fill it up with bar oil and gas, have it all ready to go. And then you want to go in here, and I primed it originally about 8 times. Alright, pull the choke all the way out, turn it on, give it a couple pulls. Let's see where we're at. Alright, so it kicked over. I'm going to push the choke lever forward. Hey guys, the saw is running great, right? Again, remember, at this time, my gas lines are on backwards and I don't know, but the saw is running good. There's a couple reasons why. One, it's filled with gas. Two, I'm holding it in a position where it's somewhat horizontal. May not look it in the camera, but it is. When I start to carve in the carving tutorial, the saw starts running like trash. Why? Because it's not completely filled with gas, and I start holding it at angles, and the wrong line is trying to suck gas out, and so it's not reaching the gas anymore. It starts to starve. It's starving itself for gas, all right? And you won't know it in this video. So I'm like, there's no point in showing you guys the saw's running great here, because while it is, in the next video when I'm on the same tank of gas, it's starving for gas because the lines are wrong. So if you skip to this part to see the saw running great, that's fantastic. But you should go back and see where I make the mistake and tell you how to fix it. So yeah, fun video, awesome learning experience for all of us. That little saw is an animal. Maybe that's why it's called Predator. Now, I pulled this one apart, but I didn't show you guys. Just another quick thing on this saw is checking the spark arrestor. And what you can do is undo these bolts right here, which mine aren't even on all the way because I did check it earlier. It's a little toasty. But you undo these bolts here in the front. They're the same driver you've been using, a 5/16. All right. I checked mine earlier, and then I realized you all might need to see how to do this as well. So we got our muffler off. All right. How do you get the rest of it apart? Well, I pull the bolts out, take my extension and the whatever that is, socket, put it through the inside here. Hold the lower portion, pop it through. Okay, so it's dirty, it's filthy. You guys could hit it with a torch or a brush, clean this up. Clean the inside up if you want, which I probably will now that I have it apart. Whoo, that baby's hot. Hot, hot, hot. So this is our screen. It's not like super dirty and clogged, but I'm gonna attempt to clean it before I put it all back together. As you see though, the saw runs as is, and it runs well. Now we're gonna look at the saw real quick here. We're almost done with this video. Okay, if you guys look in here, there is a lot of sawdust all up in here, okay? Up and around. That's gonna prevent the saw from staying cool. So it's a good idea. You can take a little screwdriver and kind of pull it out, but do not get anything in this port right here for the exhaust. Do not. You get stuff in there, you're gonna mess up your piston, your rings, and all that. So if you got to clean up that area, you know, clean it up a little bit. It'll help the saw run a little more on the top-notch side of things. But go ahead and do that. As far as all this stuff goes, I'm not gonna video it, you guys. It's easy. Use a brush, scrub this down, hit it with a torch, heat it up, burn it off, burn all this out or scrub it out, whatever you want to do, and then put it back together. Now, real quick on putting these back together, they're a little bit of a pain in the butt. So start with your bolts on the front side sticking through. Slip this right over them. Okay, so it comes through like that. And then take this piece and slip it over this way. If you try to do it any other way, it just seems like it never lines up right. So do all that. All right, line it up, squeeze it all together. Make sure you take your heat shield, put that back on, and put everything back on the saw. Okay guys, so that is replacing gas lines, putting on a new carburetor, checking your spark arrestor, and a new primer bulb, all in this video. I probably should make it into multiple parts so I get more views, but whatever, it is what it is, you know. So I'm actually going to clean mine in a little bit. I just want this saw to be running like a top, because the next video I'm going to do, we're going to be carving up a bear, hopefully with this chainsaw, as long as it stays running well. And I'm going to give you guys full tutorial on that, full step-by-step walkthrough. Alright guys, so like I said, that's going to be it for this video. The next video that's going to pertain to using this Poulan Predator is going to be carving a bear. We're going to do it step by step. We're going to use only this saw and some few basic tools that I think everybody can get their hands on if they want to get into chainsaw carving. If you enjoyed this video or if it helped you out in any way, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and check out some other videos I got on the channel. If you're interested in becoming a member, there should be a join or membership button right next to where you hit subscribe. Also, when you hit subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell and hit all so you guys don't miss any future uploads. And I just want to say thank you to all my current members. I got a bunch of people signed up as members. They help support the channel directly. And you know what, you guys? It means a lot. It really does. I really do appreciate it. Because of that and because of the followers, we will be doing a giveaway at 10,000 subscribers, or right around there, maybe a little over. We're so close to 10,000 subs right now. We get to 10,000 subs. I got a DeWalt die grinder, some Saburrtooth burrs, and a few other little things we're just going to give away to lucky winners for getting the channel to 10,000 subs. So if you're not already, again, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching. Check out some videos. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.